Everyone, Adam here, So Is Your Podcast. Got another interview for you today. I got to sit down with Matthew Goodhue to talk about his directorial debut, well, his feature directorial debut. He's done shorts, he's done some stuff for TV, but this is his first feature film. It's called WOE. It's a horror movie, actually produced by the people who made Cabin Fever, which I know is a bigger name in horror. It is a horror movie, but it's cool. It's one of those horror movies that kind of goes a layer deeper, and you can get a lot more out of it, drawing from your personal life. It kind of deals with loss and grief as well as being a horror movie. Big props to Matthew for taking it to that next stage and not just having it be horror for the sake of horror. That always jumps out for me, as I'm sure you've heard me say 1,000 times by now. But enjoy the interview. Matthew, thank you for taking the time to come on and talk to me about your movie and your career so far.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's super nice to meet you.
Definitely, yeah, you too. The one kind of standard question I do, because I like to think of these more as conversations and interviews, I always like to take creative people back to the beginning of their creative journey. So How did you get into movies, and when did you know that's what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think, growing up, we watched a ton of movies. I grew up in Massachusetts, and I have three brothers. So I think a way for my parents to stop us from fighting and beating each other up was like, throw us in front of a movie, and for 2 hours, the house might be quiet. It was just always kind of part of our time together. I had older brothers, so I think I was able to get introduced to some movies that I maybe shouldn't have seen at the age I did, like Jaws and Poltergeist and Silence of the Lambs and Scream. Those movies specifically stick out to me as ones that I remember watching and knowing that what I was seeing was something different, and just knowing that I was terrified, but also knowing that I liked the feeling very much. I didn't really know film was a thing to pursue, or how in the world you would try to make that a profession. A lot of folks in the town I grew up in, it was a lot of just blue collar work. I knew one guy who worked with computers, and I thought that was so weird that a guy would just go and sit at a computer all day. And that's kind of what I do now. But I went to school at Boston University and was studying English because I had no idea what I was doing. I knew I liked to read. I liked to try to think about philosophy and different things. And I just didn't really know what I was going to apply any of those interests into. But I took a film course just kind of on a whim, and was kind of mesmerized about how you could look at film more than just entertainment, more than just oh, that was good, or that was bad, or that was fun. You could really kind of dissect it and dive into it. And also, taking a film course, you just learn how much of cinema and how many movies you have not seen, and never even heard of. So it definitely opened, I thought I saw a lot of movies, but you start to slowly uncover and learn about the history of cinema, and that movies are being made outside of the US. And it's kind of mind-boggling to try to take all that in and just learn from it. But going to school for it was a big eye-opening experience for me. And after school, I moved to Los Angeles and got a job at a production company, just answering phones and refilling the refrigerator and, ordering hand soap and stuff. But with that job, I was able to see the inner workings of a production company. The company mainly did commercials and music videos, which, smaller scale than feature films, but a lot, if not all, of the same moving parts. Within that position, I was able to work my way up a little bit and get to be on set and get to produce some things, and eventually get to direct, get to kind of camera. I essentially kind of got my hands dirty doing all of it. I was able to direct and to shoot and to edit a lot of the jobs were low budget. So you sort of had to do everything, which, it was, difficult and, stressful, trying to work through all that stuff. But I think it's helped me I think I have a pretty good understanding of what it takes to take something from an idea, from a script, and kind of bring it to life. So from there, I started working on my own shorts, music videos with friends. And I always wanted to make movies. It just didn't feel like a thing that was possible. It felt like you had to be given permission to do it. And somebody would tell you or give you the money or the resources to, hey, go make your thing. And I think you quickly learn that that's not how it works. And if you're excited about an idea and you've been writing and you want to make it happen, you got to figure out a way to find some people who will help you and work with you and make your ideas better, to make something. So, I just kind of had a feature script that felt like we were ready to take the next step with, and we kind of just took the plunge.
That's a really interesting story, because it seems like I like asking that initial question because I like to see how people got to where they are, and no two stories are ever the same. Totally. And yours, for lack of a better term, sounds like it's kind of the more traditional. Like, I like movies. I went to film school. I got a job at the bottom and it sucked, and I worked my way up to what I wanted to do. Did you find that film school kind of prepared you for what you were stepping into in the working world?
It's funny you say that, because I kind of approached film school in a very academic way. I was very concerned with like getting a job and just like being secure and making sure my parents weren't worried about me, type of a thing. So I look back at film school, and as much as it was a great experience and it allowed me to have the opportunity to get the first internship that ended up being a job, I approach film school a little more academically, in a way of like, I want to do well here so I can eventually get a job. I wasn't like, if I could go back in time, which unfortunately you can't, it's like, I would have tried to shed some of that and just experiment and just like film more, just be trying to make things every weekend. But I didn't really approach it that way. That has come later as I've learned, like, just doing things in order the way you're supposed to, it doesn't work that way. It's like, I think that's how we're sort of taught, or how I was taught, or at least observed how things were done. Like my father, he has been working at the same packaging company since he was 18 years old. Like, he started like as a forklift operator, and now he owns it. And he's like the most hardworking guy I've ever met. And watching him, I kind of thought that's what you're supposed to do. Like, you got a job and you stayed there until you owned the place. My first job here, I felt that, and I saw, I was in my 20s. I saw executive producers in their 40s, and I was like, oh, cool. That's what I'll be. Like, I will have that office upstairs sooner than later. And within like 9 months, everybody had left and was on to other things. And I was just like, wait, like, I thought we were all like a family and this was going to be forever. And the film industry doesn't work that way. So yeah, it's like, I kind of wish I took more risks when I was younger and not be so fearful in doing so, because it didn't feel like I was ready, or it didn't feel like it was the thing to do at the time. But I'm glad through the experience of kind of going through it that, I've learned that you kind of got to take risks if you want to, if you want to work in a creative field, or you're enthusiastic about an idea. It's like, you got to go for it.
That's a really good advice for people starting out, because it sounds like you kind of took the college to job approach that more traditional jobs do. Like, I'm going to be an accountant because it's a stable job and I can get a job here and get, cost of living raises every couple of years. So, you go to college, you do good. You kind of took that same path with a creative field.
Yeah.
So
and the idea of being creative as a profession felt like I didn't know what that was. A lot of the people I grew up with, like, they're smart and creative people, but a lot of the work is not essentially creative work. You're not sitting and thinking. It's all about like do. Like at the end of the week, you should be exhausted and like unable to move. And I just had that mentality of like, that's what work is supposed to be. And not that creative work isn't exhausting and you don't feel drained at the end, but it's just like, it's a different type of work environment. And I felt very uncomfortable like pursuing something that was creative, because I was, you're always self-doubting yourself. You don't think you're creative enough or whatever. And a lot of it is just like trying to block that stuff out, or at least not take it so seriously, and know that like the self-doubt's okay. Allow yourself to feel it and then move forward so you can focus on what you want to focus on.
It's kind of inspiring. I mean, it sounds almost sad, like you didn't know what you were getting into. I don't mean that as a knock or anything.
Totally.
But I'm taking it as very inspiring, because you kind of broke the mold of how you were brought up. Because I grew up in upstate New York, so our upbringing was probably, really similar.
Oh, yeah.
And I always felt the same thing, that creative jobs were for people born in Los Angeles. And like, if, Steven Spielberg wasn't your uncle, what are you even trying for? So it's cool that you went out there and did it.
Yeah. And it's like, it felt weird. It felt like I had to kind of check in with the parents every now and again, be like, oh, I'm working so much. It's just like the hours had to be enough to show that I was doing something. And it's like my parents were super supportive the whole way through. They never rolled their eyes or was like, when are you going to get a real job? A lot of it was just myself, being self-conscious of it. And thinking that they weren't thinking that I was working hard enough or whatever. And, they've been so supportive and are like super excited, and kind of, the fact that like they can search for the movie that we made on Amazon. They're like, this is so weird. Like, this is so cool. So that's been, excuse me, that's been super exciting. And it's given me a little more confidence to just be okay with knowing that like, yeah, man, you are trying to pursue this as a profession and something you want to be able to make films in the future. So that's okay. Go for it.
Very cool. And so you started with music videos and shorts, or just the shorts?
I mean, the production company I was at, we were making a lot of music videos. I worked with these directors. They went by the name Focus Creeps, and they did a lot of great stuff. They did music videos for like Arctic Monkeys and the Beach Boys, and like I got to be on these really cool sets, and like, but they were small productions and kind of gritty, and it really opened my eyes to just like what you can do with not a lot, So while I was working for that company, like on the weekends and stuff, I was also very fortunate that they allowed me to like take their camera home over the weekends. So I was able to get away with not spending money on gear. And we would just shoot. Yeah, we would try to make these little music videos that, were a little less performative. We were trying to tell stories within music videos. And through that, the starting to make shorts kind of came from like, okay, music videos are fun. And I am a fan of the music that we were making those films for, but I knew I wanted to be writing more and try to make something that was more narrative. So shorts just kind of felt like the next natural thing. And now we're sort of trying to make short music video, like short film / music video hybrid things where it's like the music is within the story that we're telling. Those to me are like, I enjoy watching things like that a little bit more than performance videos. So yeah, we're still trying to put some of those out in the next year or so.
That's an interesting take on it. So it sounds like now you're doing that experimental filmmaking that you feel like you missed in college.
Totally.
Trying things out and doing what you like and going for it.
Yeah. It's like, there's like, what's the worst that could happen? You know?
Yeah, I think if it comes out and you don't like it, you just try again.
Totally. I think I was like fearful of it not being good for a long time. So it's like, until the idea was perfect or the script is perfect, I don't think we're quite ready. But you don't get better if you do that, and you probably won't make anything if you do that, you know? So
right, yeah, it'll never be perfect, and your first one's never going to be your best one.
Totally, yeah. So it's just about just doing, and that's how you get better.
So where did the idea for WOE come up? Because it felt personal. Maybe I had the wrong takeaway from it, but it felt like a very personal movie.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely a personal film. The idea started, I was talking with Michael Lincoln, who's the DP on the film, with Adam Halfordy, who plays Charlie in the film, and with Ryan Katner, who plays Benjamin in the movie. We had just worked on a short film together that we had a really nice time working together on. And we knew we wanted to make something else. We had spoken about making another short. We just got together and we were like shooting around ideas, and the image of a character driving into the distance with a casket on his car was the first thing that kind of came up. And it's sort of like the Christmas Vacation scene with like the giant tree on the car. And we looked at it kind of comically as like, this is dark, but it's weird and it's kind of funny. And I'm very curious, like, who that character is, what led him to do this. So we had that image, and I kind of just went to writing after that, and I didn't know where it was going to go. Personally, and something I've been, some friends of mine, we've spoken about a lot, is like our mental health, our upbringing, a lot, and this is something I quickly learned wasn't just something I was going through. It seemed like every single person I spoke to was like, yeah, there's mental illness in our family, and we never talked about it. It was something that just, I don't know if it was taboo or whatever, but it wasn't something that felt like it deserved attention. You kind of had to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and continue on. Like, everybody gets sad. You got to get over it, so those ideas were running through my head, and I personally was, trying to grapple with how to deal with it and how to talk about it, and what I was trying to feel better. I didn't know how. I didn't know what I was looking for. So all of those ideas were sort of running as the script was being written. So yeah, we kind of had the image of the car. I had Adam and Ryan in mind as characters, and I would just write, and I would get together with Michael, with Adam, with Ryan. I'd send them a draft, or we would just talk about it, and ideas would spawn from there, and I would go back and write some more. We did that for like a year about, and it kind of got to the point where we decided to like pick a date, put it on the calendar, and we were like, this is when we're going to make the movie. And we were able to get a great producer on towards the end named Ryan Gibson, who anytime I showed, like, oh man, I don't think we're ready. He kept telling me, the movie will let you know if it should not get made. And the date was on the calendar. Things started falling into place. People were able to make the schedule work. As the days got closer, we were like, oh shoot, nobody's telling us we can't make this, other than maybe like the self-doubt of like, oh, are we ready? So yeah, we just, went for it. And, we're super lucky to have a crew of folks, a small crew of folks who were excited about the project. They knew it was a low budget thing. They knew it was my first film. They knew a lot of the actors who were on it, like hadn't done much acting before. So it was a good community of people that I think all wanted to make something special. And hopefully they enjoyed the experience as much as I did.
Did you find, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but did you find it maybe daunting when you first got into it? Like a music video, I imagine the shoot time is a lot less. There's probably less sets. Like you said, it's the same production. All the pieces are there, just smaller scale.
Yeah. A lot of the shorts and the music video stuff was like, we would do it on the weekends. We would do it for a day or 2 days. And then maybe pick up the next weekend. So it never felt like such a long stretch of time. We shot this one in 13 days, which is short for like,
yeah, it seems ultra fast for a full-length feature.
But it was the longest I'd ever been, on one isolated project, like consecutively. So yeah, it was very daunting. Like the pre-production was really exciting, but also incredibly difficult. It felt like every day I would wake up to like a phone call with a new problem to solve, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like what am I getting myself into? And, just being like, you really want to make this be as good as you can. There's also all the logistical things that have to happen in order to do so. So on top of like designing what the film's going to look like and your shot selection and, creatively how you're going to try to get performances, there's all the other stuff that, it doesn't get captured on screen. And I had people behind the scenes helping with that, but, we were a small crew, so we were kind of always in conversation. So yeah, I think we had 2 weeks or so of like real pre-production, and that sucked. It was great. I had so much fun sitting with our DP and like figuring out the film. Like that was so exciting to me because it was finally like a next step in it becoming real and it becoming a thing. But like I like lost a ton of weight and like wasn't eating and just like wasn't sleeping. That I got to say, like by the time it came to filming, the 13 days of filming, like I don't know about anybody else on the production, but like I felt calm for it was sort of like all this nervous energy and all this hard work. And then it came to filming and it was sort of like, okay, I think we're actually prepared. Like we talked about all of this stuff and, we had really confident crew members who like, just kind of came to work and came ready to do it. So the production itself was like the calmest part of the experience. So, certain scenes or certain instances where the sun was setting and we had to be out by a certain time were extremely stressful, but like that stretch of time was really exciting. And it was, it just feels good. A lot of the pre-production and a lot of course, writing, it's like you were alone doing it. So it can feel super heavy. And then when you get to production and you're surrounded by all these people and there's, working with you to bring to life the thing that's been in your head for so long, it's like, it's pretty gratifying experience. And humbling for sure to see people come together to work on the thing that you have been pushing for however long, and for them to bring their own ideas and those ideas be better than yours and enhance the project. It's like, it's super exciting.
I can only imagine the feeling of concept, sitting down in front of your computer typing, and then you have a casting crew making it a reality. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. You're just like, I remember just pulling into the first day and seeing like trucks with gear and people I had never met before there to make this thing that I wrote in my apartment by myself. And it was just like, how the hell did this happen? Total imposter syndrome. But, you know, what's great is like, you know, we tried to get people to work on the movie that like wanted to be there, you know? And I think I can say that the people that were there, you know, were excited. And even though it was a little project, people weren't getting paid a ton of money. It's like we tried to make a little family for the 13 days, and we had good catering, so that was exciting. Like little things, yeah. And like after you know a few days, like actually bring good coffee to set and buy people coffee and stuff. It's like little incentives to be like, dude, we are so grateful that you guys are here. Being on a film crew is probably the most thankless job. You get to see your name at the end credits, but most people leave the movie theater before that happens. So
right, you got like, the couple leads and the director and the writer.
yeah. So like it was so great to, you know, have people that were excited to be there, and it felt super surreal to know that they were there to make the thing that we've been talking about.
Were you able to see it with a live audience at any point?
No, I mean we were finishing mixing the film in March of 2020 or of 2019 or 2020, I think. This whole past few years is so confusing.
Yeah, the last
especially this past year. It's like I know what you mean. But we were getting ready to premiere at the Method Film Festival, which is like a pretty sweet festival that showcases actors. So the fact that we got in was really exciting, and I was super excited for the cast that they were being recognized for that. And we were supposed to show in March at a theater in Los Angeles. And while we were mixing the film, we got the email that, hey, everything is on hold. I got to say there was like a little bit of like relief, because like you're so scared to, we were like, are we ready? Is the mix good enough? But equally it was like, damn, like, you know, it was going to happen. Like, it was within reach. Like we were so excited about the opportunity. But we also figured like, okay, maybe it's a few weeks. Like, now we have a little bit more time to polish the mix. Maybe this is a good thing. And then slowly over the next few weeks into the next few months,
18 months.
Yeah. Every festival was either pausing, canceling, or doing virtual, which the folks that, you know, were able to pivot and do virtual festivals, it was so cool that they did that. And I can't imagine the stress of putting those together, and super thankful that we were able to show at some of those. And, you know, some of them had like Q&As after, or you could kind of log on while the movie was playing and chat with people if they had questions. So that was super cool. You know, nothing beats the theater experience. So
of course. Yeah.
So that's a bit of a bummer. You know, before we made the movie, like I didn't even think about distribution. I was just so eager to like get it filmed. And I was like, right. we'll figure out the next step as we get there. So, you know, a theater release, I know, you know, is difficult to get these days. The fact that we were able to show it on VOD, and like I love going to the movie theaters, but I also watch so many films at home. So the fact that the movie can be released and people have access to it, you know, and you know, it's like, it's easier than gathering everybody up or whatever and going to the movie theater. It's like, it's super exciting. And I'm sure over the last year, movie goers and movie lovers have like figured out their home theater setup to the point where like, it's probably pretty good. So I imagine watching it at home will be, you know, a good experience.
For sure. And speaking of that, you said it's available on Amazon, probably all those large platforms.
Yeah. It's on Amazon. It's on Apple TV. It's on Vudu. It's on Google Play. It's on Vimeo. So yeah, it's out there. So
awesome.
Yeah, check it out.
For sure. Yeah. And do you want to give everyone your socials, maybe your website, anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm on social media at Matt Goodhue. So just my name, if you can see it without Matthew, it's just Matt Goodhue. And then the film itself has little teasers and the trailers up there. If you want to look at the Instagram for that, it's at WOE movie. And down the line, I'm sure we'll be posting like behind the scenes pictures and stuff if you want to follow and check it out. And yeah, appreciate that a ton.
Very cool. Well, Matthew, I appreciate you taking the time to come on to talk to us about your journey and your movie. It was very well done. So especially for your first one. So
thank you so much,
good
man.
things to come. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's super nice to meet you. And thank you for watching the movie. Thank you for talking about it. It means a lot.
Definitely. Take it easy.
All right, man. You too.
I'd like to thank Matthew one more time for coming on the show to talk to us about his feature directorial debut, WOE. WOE is available now on VOD. You can check it out on most of the major streaming platforms. I'm sure you're going to find it with one of the places that you go to for movies. So check out WOE. Thank you, Matthew. Best of luck in the future. We have a lot more interviews, a lot more new movie coverage, a lot more things coming to the YouTube channel, so make sure you like and subscribe. That really helps us grow our audience. It's an indication that people are watching, and we appreciate it. Also, make sure you listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week, wherever you get your podcasts. So Wizard Podcast can be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop something in the comments, leave us something on social media. All the accounts will be found after the show and in the show notes. And on a more personal note, a good friend and I have an ongoing comic series out right now. It's called Social Studies. It's a slice-of-life comedy comic about the high school experience, all the insanity and ridiculous that goes with it, and we take all that, write it like a sitcom, and mash it through the prism of the 90s cartoons that we grew up on and love. You can check that at socialstudiescomic.com. First issue can be free. It's name your own price. Check it out. Thanks.